This Sunday's gospel lesson from Matthew is a very familiar parable by Jesus talking about looking for the coming of the kingdom of heaven. And he likens it to a wedding party where the bridesmaids are waiting for the bridegroom so that they can lead a procession into the wedding banquet. And so Jesus says that the bridesmaids are to keep their lamps ready, filled with oil and the wicks trimmed, so that they are going to be ready the moment the bridegroom comes. And that's sort of an exhortation to us, to always be aware and to be ready for the presence of Christ and for any time that love can touch our lives and that we can join in that wedding feast, that consummation. And one of the objects that I really appreciate very much having is this lamp. And this is actually a real first century lamp from about Jesus' time and from Israel. And so it's interesting to me to have something like this where you can really understand exactly what he's talking about. As you can tell from this lamp, there's a place for you to sort of rest your thumb, and you can see where you would have the oil in it and the wick that would come out, and you can see this one has been charred a bit. These were probably very, very common. I mean, much like we would think of a light bulb. And apparently at every architectural dig, they uncover thousands and thousands of these. So it's not a very rare artifact, but it's something that's a really great reminder of that parable. And it also helps sort of make that a little bit more real and understandable. The choir will be singing two pieces that are based on that parable of very different musical styles. At the offertory, the choir will sing an arrangement of a spiritual, "Keep Your Lamps Trimmed and Burning." Again, coming right out of that parable. And this arrangement was done by Andre Thomas, who is a very accomplished choral director and professor of choral music down at Florida State University. I actually had the pleasure of studying with Andre Thomas and taking classes with him. And it's a really exciting kind of way to imagine this parable through the lens of an Afro-American spiritual. It has conga drum parts, and we'll have a percussionist with us on Sunday, and then the choir sings this very expectation-laden music. So that's one way to imagine those words. Something that is very, very different and yet just as expressive and just as beautiful is a setting of some Latin text by the Renaissance composer Thomas Tallis, Audivi vocem d'cello. I heard a voice saying, "Get your lamps ready, the bridegroom is coming." So in this piece, Thomas Tallis has some very long lines of rather placid, what we call polyphony, where every line is moving on its own, and then punctuated by some plain chant, some Gregorian chant in the middle. But it starts off with these very long lines with the word audivi, I heard. And then, as I say, it moves into some plain song, and then the polyphony comes back in sort of a back and forth dialogue about that parable. And of course, we will also have some really beautiful organ music at the beginning and the end of the service, and some great hymns that are very familiar. And so we have really a very terrific worship service planned. And we hope that you will join us either on YouTube or cable channels, or of course coming to worship with us here downtown at 413 Cumberland Avenue.